S- Is it live? At least it's live. So this seems to be the easiest and safest way to do a quick upload. Okay, so the thing is, a couple things, I guess. One, I am working a lot on setting up this blog using a static blogging service or system, which you can run on your own machine and then it publishes it. And there's many things. I'd like to allow comments at it, which is one thing. I've got notebooks working, but there's something wrong with the CSS. And the links, the way I'm doing the links at my website, hosting to my site isn't quite right. So it's not quite ready, though. I am pretty happy with it. You can blog there with, I can turn Python notebooks, IPython notebooks into blogs and embed the graphics and whatnot. So yeah, I shouldn't give a link yet though, because some of the links in the page won't work and stuff. So I kind of want to style it more too. That's another thing I'd get around to. So yeah, I had a couple jobs opportunity things I was pursuing, and two of them seem to be happening. One, I'm working some hours right now, and the other one I'm supposed to start on the 23rd, go to California. So that's good to get some work, keep going at this. Seems like a good idea. The third job, I don't think I did so good on my code submission to them. They wanted me to do this code problem. But sometimes they ask you to do quirky little code problems. And I think that's a good thing. But I would have had to move down to Boston, so that's just as well. But yeah, the other one's a well-known company. I'll be subcontracting. I have to go out there for a week, and then it's all remote. And then I'm working for this other startup I've mentioned that analyzes satellite data for farmers. So, but what I was going to make a video of, I also saw, no, I guess Inmenham made some videos about his participation in the group, and I didn't really see them. Well, I didn't see them. And I'm happy to talk to Gary. I think I was a little too quick to kick him. I could have just muted him for a little bit. And that's what I would try next time. I mean, I want to be tolerant if somebody does have something to add to the conversation. The fact that they might have a few self-control issues, you know, I'm willing to work with that. So I don't feel that I'm wrong or apologizing or anything, but he's kicked me for less. But I'm just saying that in contrast to, I'd be happy to discuss these things with him live, but I don't really want to watch him rail at me like that non-live. I think we should take it to the next level. But I did watch Hythloday, and Hythloday, I must say, I'm not very happy with the characterization that you're making of these doubts. For example, when you want to call it language games. Well, we're discussing things that are at the fundament of human knowledge. You know, I'm sorry, but the Webster's Dictionary or the Oxford Dictionary doesn't encapsulate it. Like, you know, we're saying that all our most concrete feeling abstractions are merely motivated by the body's interaction with the world. We count things because it doesn't matter to our hands how many things we can grasp, which is why the water in a cup of water is not usually thought of as an object traditionally, because of the way it interacts with the body, how things interact and we interact with things. That's how we categorize them, and what we count features that are important or not important. And that's the question that we're debating. That's the question at issue. And you want to say about these stupid monkeys won't just admit that at least the number is concrete and concede the whole argument thereby. Well, no, I mean, it's easy to see how things decompose, and the identity of things is usually an illusion. And as you get into molecular chemistry, you can easily extrapolate that. And then when you deal with numbers, you're dealing with the other side of the spectrum. Instead of looking really closely at things, you're approximating. You're saying, well, this apple weighs, a few ounces, and this weighs a few ounces more, this apple, but it's 2, right? Is it 2 pounds? Is it 2 times? No, it's, I'm counting 2. You're taking this approximation, ignoring all the specifics of the individual apples, their different weights, whether one's rotten or not, when you're just counting them as apples. And you're making what is physically an approximation, calling them essentially the same thing because they both have oneness as apples. Okay, that doesn't make it fundamental. It makes it an approximation. And to use your own example, if a robot is looking at apples and pushing, or looking at fruit and pushing apples into one and oranges into another, and even if it gets them wrong and pushes an orange into the apple cart every once in a while, hasn't it objectively made this distinction? The one, we have one kind of fruit that's in one box and one kind of fruit that's in another. Yes, and that's the kind of distinction we're making. And the point is that if that's what makes distinctions, you can't say that it's in the orange. The fact that the orange is in the apple box is not the orange's fault. It is not inherent in the orange. It's as a result of how it was chosen by the perceptive machine, in this case, that pushed it in there. So, or programmed it to be pushed in there, depending on how you want to look at it. So, I think we should take this up again in the Illusions Exist Hangout, and you can feel free to be specific about what words you think are being unfairly used. You're not allowed to beg the question and say that we have to assume you're correct by granting you axioms to work from in order to prove that axioms exist. Okay? It's also incumbent upon you to try to understand what we're saying. And the issue is that all of these things that you think of as axiomatic or unavoidable truths, what they really are is very reliable generalizations that you have made over your life and over evolution to a certain degree, because many of them are built in to your body about your body's interaction with the world. They're very wide generalizations about your body's interaction with the world. No, by no means are they correct in any fundamental sense, and they can even be quite mistaken if they have been reliably believable and put to some purpose in your evolutionary history and the track that got you to, and all of your ancestors, to where you are now. This built-in conception of your body and yourself as in combination with your individual experiences define what you find important, what you call a feature. You don't talk about the color of an object in the colors that are visible to other animals but not us. You talk about color, you mean human color in relation to your body. When you're counting things, you're talking about their graspability, literally, originally, and then metaphorically, right? And, is a cloud an object? But if you can't see the cloud and it's just a bunch of air that's a little warmer than or cooler than the air around it, but not enough that there's been condensation, you could see, is it an object all of a sudden? Where is the threshold? These things are arbitrary, and the only reason you have to answer those questions so often is because you are body and you're trying to make approximations about the world. You don't want to think about every molecule in the 2 apples, every sugar molecule, you can't do that. At the most, you could think, well, there's 2 apples and one of them's sweeter. You have to make generalizations. And the fact that it's sweeter is something you're attributing to it as a shorthand for, if I eat it, I'm going to have more of this kind of experience called sweetness than if I eat this one. And it's just shorthand for how you're expecting or can imagine or have experienced a particular object. And all the properties that you ascribe and say are inherently in the apple are really things that name parts of the experience you have holding and eating or otherwise sensing and experiencing, including all your thoughts that get triggered of an apple. So sure, that settles that now.